Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us for our daily semifinals recap shows. I'm your host, Lauren Kalil. If you like listening to us chat about CrossFit news and everything that's going on in the sport, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Our day one recap show, it now heads to the Netherlands, where the Lowlands Throwdown just finished day one. Competition wrapped up with the Dukic brothers leading the pack on the men's field, with Lazar in first and younger brother Luca right behind him. Looking at the women's side, Laura Horvath is in first with two second place finishes. And as for the teams, no surprise, CrossFit Reykjavik in first, ahead of second place by 16 points after day one. Joining me live on location today is Patrick Clark. Been a crazy day. We love all of this coverage. How's it been going so far, PC?
It's been great. This venue here is just amazing. The fan atmosphere has been amazing. It's raining inside, which is typical for Amsterdam this part of the year, but it's been nothing but just on fire inside the venue.
So for the individuals, they started the day with CrossFit's workout that they programmed, the 2014 Regional Event 5. On the women's side, Karen Freyova, she took the win just seconds ahead of Laura Horvath. How did that shape up? What was the some of the action that was on the floor?
Um, it, it- Laura came out very at a very just really just sold it out. I mean, she was just going back and forth. It was very intense. And it was actually she thought she had the win, and Freyova actually snuck in right ahead of her to. It was a
Ooh.
photo finish, so it was a photo finish. It was uh, Laura has that background in climbing, and she really used that a lot. Her grip strength on the rope climb, but Freyova is a really tall and strong athlete as well, and not many people saw that because she was one on the outside lanes, and I think she snuck up on Laura as well. So it was a really interesting race because from start to the end, it looked like it was all Horvath.
Now, when we look at the men's side and we talk about this first event, that all of the semifinals, we are going to see athletes compete. One thing that we're trying to keep track of is who ultimately is going to have the fastest time for this workout. So far, Ricky Garrard on the men's side has the record at 2 minutes and 48 seconds, but Lazar Dukic, he came just short by less than 2 seconds. He was fighting to try to steal home the win when we're looking at that workout.
Yeah, he gave it a run. I thought actually he had it when he crossed the finish line, but officially, the unofficially, it looked like he had the record. And I think he would have had it on his last rope climb when he came down. He actually tripped on the mat and stumbled a
Oh,
little bit. That probably
the
took a couple
heartbreak.
seconds. Yeah, it took a couple seconds off. But yeah, it was very impressive. Lazar actually, Moritz Freiberg went out very hot, and him and Lazar were going back and
Mm.
forth. But then finally, Lazar just put the hammer down and kind of just blew everyone away on that event.
What was it like to see some of these athletes take on this workout after, we are a couple hours in after seeing people do the Torian Pro? Have you heard from any athletes that maybe they watched part of that live stream to get some strategies and actually chase some of those times?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, they were keeping an eye on that. I mean, it was on that was going on right when they were about to start. Most we started roughly the team started around noon this time, so that ended around there. The Torian ended around 10 o'clock, 10:30 this time. So most of the athletes were up and they're just wandering around. So I guarantee you, most of them were watching and taking notes on that. So I think Lazar knows Ricky. They've went head to head together at Dubai, and I'm pretty sure Lazar had that number in his head because he knew that was something that an event that he could definitely win.
It's always good for the athletes to have something to
Oh yeah.
chase, especially
Hmm.
if you're not in the lane next to the
Yes.
competitor
Yeah.
that you're going for.
Yep.
Moving
Yep.
on to event two, Insidious, it consisted of running, axle bar deadlifts, handstand walking, and a row. On the
Yeah.
women's side, Gabby Magala, she moved up the leaderboard with a first place finish after a 16th place finish on event one. Talk to us about her and what this win for workout number two meant for her.
I think a lot of people are going to look at that leaderboard and be like, "Oh man, she didn't do really well in event one." But I think she executed her and her coach John Singleton. I think that was the best case scenario for her, manageable. She didn't go out hot. She didn't want any no reps. So she just went out. She had a game plan. She was checking her watch, pacing herself. I think she might have turned it maybe into an imam of some sort. But so that she upper body pulling is a weakness of hers, But she managed that, had a 16th, and then obviously in workout two, she bounced back, and uh, she was keeping up with Laura Horvath and Karen Freyova and Matilda Garns. All of them were all together in that pack right there, and she kind of pulled away at the end, got to the rower before Laura, and probably had about, I don't know, maybe a 150-meter lead head start on Laura Horvath, and was able to secure the win. But that workout, oh, there were so many bodies strewn all over the floor from that workout. Um, you didn't have any, obviously I'm a photographer, and we wait at the finish line waiting for that money shot where everyone comes, raises
Yeah.
their hands. There was none of that in any of these workouts. The only one that had that is someone we'll talk about later on.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Transitioning into that, looking at the men's side, a name that might be familiar for people since he won 22.2 in the CrossFit Open this past year, Uldis Upanix. He was the one that actually
You
took first
read my
place
mind. Yeah.
on the men's side. So tell us what went on the men's floor with him taking home the win for workout number 2 today.
See, this is why I love you, Lauren, because you read my mind. That was the athlete I was talking about. So Oldest, if anyone knows anything about Oldest, the guy's a character. He's just amazing. He's a strong deadlifter, and that workout obviously had
Mm.
axle bar deadlifts. And the funny thing about that is not only did he win that, but he had quite the warm up before that workout, because the athletes had about an hour and a half before they had to report for their heats between one and event one and two. He actually went back to his hotel, and he was trying to get back, and his Ubers, he kept on ordering Ubers, and they kept on canceling on him. So in Amsterdam, which is known as the bike capital of the world, if you're in Amsterdam, he grabbed the bike and biked all the way here in the rain. So it's been pouring all day. So he biked here. It's about a 10-minute bike ride, here, and that was his warm up. He got here just in time to check
Oh
in, and
my
then went
god.
went straight out to the floor. But if you know anything about Oldest, that's a typical Oldest thing. That's what he does. And he went out there, and when he got on that rower, there was spit all over him, all over. Yeah, he was just spitting up things, and he crosses that finish line. He's the only guy I knew that just stood there, and he flexed in front of everybody, and kind of like, he showed, he's like, I'm the alpha of this workout right there. And yeah, it was really cool. And meanwhile, all the other guys who finished after him, bodies were strewn all over the floor. It was quite a sight to see.
That really does take a bike warm up to a whole new level. Road
Yes,
bike
yeah,
in the rain before you
yeah.
compete at a semifinal.
And these bikes aren't like a 10 speed. These are like two speeds on this bike. So it
Oh,
doesn't matter. You
wow.
got either, yeah. So it's like riding a rogue bike, a Rogue Echo bike. I rode one the other day for 4 hours, and I'm still feeling it.
Moving on to the team side now, CrossFit Reykjavik, they are leading the charge for the teams, 2 event wins, putting them at the top of the leaderboard. They started the day with a dominating win on event 1, the thrusters plus legless, but being ahead of the second team to cross the finish line, CrossFit Oslo, by nearly 90 seconds. What was it like to
Yeah.
watch them assert their dominance really for the first time that we're seeing this group of athletes compete together in person in a live setting?
It was, I mean, I think everyone's eyes went on them because it started off with like, um, some thrusters, and all the other teams were kind of breaking up their thrusters, and I think Lauren Fisher just came out hot. I think she went unbroken for probably like 25, 30. I'd have to check for sure, but then she tagged in Annie, and of course Annie's a thruster machine, and then that set the tone right there. That first round where they just basically, while other teams were switching out like every 10 reps, they were holding on, and then when they got to the rope climb, Annie was just ridiculous on the rope climbs.
Mm.
And when they handed off to the guys, I don't think, yeah, there wasn't another woman in sight, a group of two in sight, and the guys just took it home from there. And then, which was kind of different from event two, where the guys seemed like they did most of the bulk of the the bulk of the work and workout too.
Does it look like any other team are going to give them a run for their money this weekend so far, just after day one?
Yeah, yeah, they'll give them run of money if they steal their wallets, and that's they're just that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to it's hard to I don't know, just hard to evaluate the talent of the other teams when you have
Mm.
such a team at another stratosphere. Um, And there's on paper, there's some good teams here from CrossFit Nordic's a team that made it to the games last year, and there's other teams in there with quality games teams that probably would finish in the top 10. But they're they're just on it. I don't know if it's the programming because the programming here isn't really, it's there's only one workout with a worm, but yeah, it's Reykjavik, and I don't see an end to it. It's kind of like watching Mayhem, in the U.S. So here in Europe, this might be they're the Mayhem of Europe right now.
And finally, just quickly, what are the storylines? Who are the athletes that people should be watching heading into day 2?
Um, Sarah kind of struggled. Gabby's kind of towards the bottom of the middle of the pack. I think those two, them making a run, and then if someone like Karen Freyova, Matilda Garnes, if they can hold on to those two positions. On the men's side, BKG is I believe the greatest European male athlete of all time. He's currently in 5th. If he starts, I mean, he didn't have a bad day. He had a 4th and a 5th place, but Lazar had such a good day with the 1st and 2nd.
Mm.
So you expect that run by BKG. So tomorrow's going to be moving day. There's only 2 workouts. It's traditionally moving day. So we're going to see some shuffling. They're going to have some different workouts tomorrow. They're going to play to some athlete strengths and some of them weaknesses. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So that's what I'm looking out for. And the individual team, it's just it's how big of a lead, how big and how big of a margin does Reykjavik win by at the end of the weekend.
All right, a successful day 1 of coverage from the Netherlands. Patrick Clark will be joined again after day 2 tomorrow with more recaps, highlights, and what you guys should be looking forward to. We'll see you guys next time.